Hey there, welcome to my little review video of a saber that I just finished. That's been one that's been a long time in the making. I'm calling this one the MHS ANI ROTS-ish, because it's supposed to be as close to a replica of the Revenge of the Sith saber as I could possibly get it using a MHS parts from the Custom Saber Shop. This one was built for a friend of mine in the 501st Legion, who also has a Anakin Skywalker outfit that he's probably had done for 2 or 3 years now. And this was a project that we started, I think we made the original deal about 6 years ago, maybe 5 years ago. And a number of things have, over the years gotten in the way of being able to complete this one. Some of which being personal issues on his end, other personal issues on my end, and trying to work out the design, how this was going to go together, what we were going to do with it, and what it was going to be for. So it was kind of a lot of back and forth. We kind of lost touch for a year or so there too. And this one was built as a replacement for the Parks Rogue conversion saber that you'll see on one of my earlier videos from either last year or the year before. That was his. He traded that in. I converted it over to add sound and light to it and sold it and used the money from that to buy the parts for this one. So this has been a lot of headaches trying to come up with how I was going to do this. So we thought this should be doing something somewhat special since it took so long. So it's got we've got MHS parts here. Let me start at the back here. We got I think this is a 4-inch extension. In the middle here we have a double male threaded connector, 3-inch double female, and then we have, I believe this is a blade holder 20 or 21. And then we've got a mix of some custom parts and some parts from the Revenge of the Sith master replicas, like the clamp card. I believe that's what that came from. The button on the side here, the gold button, and the what would normally be a glass eye on a Graflex. The pins actually came from Blastech, I believe it was. I bought some stuff before they went out of business. We have a little copper thumb screw up here. This actually doesn't do anything. This is your blade retention screw right there. Let's see what else. Oh yeah, the grips. Those came from Blastech. The mylar tape. The clamp. Oh, I say clamp. It's not really a clamp. It's a box number 7 or 8. I can't remember which one it was. TCSS doesn't carry those anymore. I have a couple of them, but they're really interesting. There's a problem with it being this. There was a lot of wet sanding and buffing done on these to get these parts this shiny, because that saber was chrome plated, and every time you handle it, you leave smudges and fingerprints and whatnot. So this piece here, the emitter ring, this is normally would be part of the clamp on a Graflex like this. I had to hand fabricate this. This is a piece of just regular plain old aluminum tubing that I bought to use as blade holders in one of the ATS series sabers, and it turns out it was the inside diameter is just a little too loose, but it works great on this, as you can just drop the blade right in there, because it doesn't quite line up centered with the hole in the blade socket, and it's just held on there by the screws that hold on the bunny ears. Just barely see those right there, and a piece of another aluminum tubing that is acting as a spacer. It's not quite thick enough to get it exactly centered, so in the larger ID here it works. So that was something that was a custom touch. I had to figure out how I was going to do that originally, and then one of my buddies, because the bunny ears were out of stock for a long time. One of my buddies up in Canada had some and sent them to me. I really appreciate that, Darren. And the clamp card and a couple other things. I think a piece of the mylar tape. The mylar tape came from another friend of mine in Eastern 57 on the FX Sabers forums. He also sent me a couple of pieces too, like the clamp card. This is what was taking a while on this one too. This was a reveal saber. This is really the first one I've done. I've done sabers with internal chassis before, and I've done sabers that have crystals in them, like in the pommel or in a hole and cutting the choke piece, but I haven't really done this before, and this is what took so long. Now, it's nothing super fancy. I see other people nowadays doing these things. They have the internal, I guess you'd call it, it looks like there's a power cell and all that sort of thing back in here where they put aluminum tubing and little pieces of brass tubing and wire or whatnot. But I had to keep this somewhat simple. These are all found parts. Chassis discs from the Saber Shop, speaker, recharge port, all of this, recharge port discs, all that came from the Saber Shop. These are just brass hose connectors I found at the hardware store. 440 screw just happens to fit right through there. As you can see, these wires all fit right through that. That's a little bit larger diameter. I had to countersink a hole in the chassis disc for that to fit. I had to do that on both sides. So even on the inside there. So this is loose, this actually spins. So, okay, then we got a couple more wires for the RGB LED that's going to light up the crystal chamber. And those are covered by a piece of, I think that's 1/4-inch metal wire cover that I got from McMaster Car. So this runs. You notice there's no battery. That's because the battery is up here with the soundboard sitting on top of it, just under here. So let's start this up. It's got a crystal shard. This is the activation button, auxiliary effects button. Let's go ahead and put a little stubby on here. So with the crystal LED wired parallel to the main blade LED, it's going to mimic all of its functions. When you got the blade flicker, flash on flash, all of that. And of course you have your color changing as well with crystal shard. Because this is an Anakin type saber, it's in the Graflex family. It has mostly shades of blue. Especially, you gotta throw purple on there. Red. Orange. It's a yellow. The orange and the yellow, the crystal doesn't quite match. Like on the orange it looks yellow, and on the yellow the crystal looks kind of a lime green. But there's not a whole lot I can do about that. There's different shades of blue. We have a kind of a cyan teal color. And that's the straight up plain green. Regular blue. And this is going to be mainly a trooping saber for him with his costume. So he doesn't really have to worry about, I don't have to worry about it being super durable for dueling. I'm sure he could do some dueling with it on a light basis because you don't want to take a chance of knocking this loose. I mean, it's holding it pretty secure in between the two mounts there. But, right now I have the volume on this set to 3 because without, there's a hell of a lot of resonance in there with that chassis being open like that. Having it set on 4, my family was getting really annoyed with me because I was playing with it when I got it working and had it at the maximum volume, and they were like, "I think it's too loud." I don't think you can ever really have a lightsaber be too loud. With it being a crystal shard, it's got I got 6 sound fonts on there, all of them kind of Anakin themed. Except for that one. I just thought it was kind of different. That is Bespin. So obviously the main blade is lit by a Tri-Cree XPE2 that I got from another supplier other than TCSS. They had a bunch of them, so I used it. Now, how does this compare to an actual Graflex? Well, I don't really have an actual Graflex. I have a Graflex 2.0. You can see it's obviously in the same family of design. I had this set up, I believe I have this set up to TFA. But, this is not done. Hopefully someday I'll get to that. And what now? When did those come out? 2 years ago? A year and a half ago? That's about as far as I got. I assembled everything. Haven't got to the electronics yet. I'm still working out how I'm going to do the chassis on it. I'm going to do something besides 3D printed. Everybody's doing that. I Probably could have went with a 3D printed deal in this too, but it's just those things I really didn't feel like designing one up, and just for a one-off kind of lightsaber. I don't plan on doing another one of these again. So there is the blade screw. The only thing I wanted to do on this and didn't really get a chance to was paint this in black in here. This is going to get delivered this weekend, June 24th, at the West Michigan Whitecaps game. I noticed he's signed up to be there. He doesn't know it's done, so hopefully this will become as kind of a surprise to him. It's been a lot of fun for me. I can't wait to actually just give it to him, because he's not going to owe me anything for it because it took too long, way longer than it should have. Plus, like I said before, his other saber, when it sold, it pretty much covered all the costs on it. Turned out pretty decent, I think. It's got some scratches on that switch box, but that was a scratch and dent sale piece, so that kind of came that way. Looks a little bit used, so hopefully you'll like it. I hope you enjoyed watching this, and I guess we'll just see you next time.